I still taste metal when I drink tap water. People say it's my imagination. I know better. My name is Ava Durham. 31. Single. No kids, no pets, no plants I can keep alive. I work for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, which means most days I'm knee-deep in swamp water with a probe and a clipboard, pretending the numbers I write down still matter. November 2025 was supposed to be routine post-Helene damage assessment in the Panhandle. The storm had ripped the skin off half the state, turned pine forests into toothpicks, and left sinkholes the size of football fields where roads used to be. Silver Root got hit worst. Whole neighborhoods just folded. That's where I found the phone. It was half buried in reed clay sticking out like a blue-black tongue. An iPhone 14 Pro in a cracked Astroline corp case. Those smug bastards who own every phosphate mine from here to Bone Valley. The screen was spitter-bare bed but glowing 1% battery, no passcode prompt. Just the lock screen photo of a woman I recognized from missing person posters, Nadia Hansen. Disappeared May 2024. Everyone assumed she had been taken by an ex or swallowed by the Suwannee. I did too until her phone recognized my face in the rain and unlocked itself. The last video was dated 5/12/2024. I sat in my state-issued Tacoma with the doors locked and the headlights off, because something told me not to let anyone else see. Nadia stared straight into the front camera. The flashlight under her chin made her look dead already. Behind her, a tunnel, old phosphate workings, ribbed with rusted iron beams, and bodies. Dozens of them, laid out on metal tables like geology samples, arms pinned to their sides, laminated FDEP badges still clipped to rotting shirts. Some of the faces I knew. Tom Brewer from Groundwater. Marisol Vigo from Spill Response. People I'd had beers with at conferences. Nadia's voice was a cracked whisper. They're not killing us. They're sampling us. Her lips trembled. Tears cut clean lines through the grime on her cheeks. The state knows. The sheriff is paid in futures. Then a shadow fell across her. Polished shoes. Expensive wool slacks. Victor K. Hollister stepped into frame, smiling the same shark smile he gives at ribbon cuttings. Tell them the water is fine, he said, almost gentle, and smashed the lens with something heavy. The video ended at 03:14. Battery died mid-static. I sat in the dark cab for a long time. Rain hammered the roof like it wanted in. My pulse was so loud I felt it in my teeth. I should have driven straight to Tallahassee. Handed the phone to the Inspector General. Let the adults deal with it. But Nadia's eyes wouldn't leave me. And I kept hearing Cal Lister's voice. Soft as a lullaby, the water is fine. So I did the stupid thing. I went back the next night alone. The sinkhole had opened wider, a black mouth ringed with uprooted pines. I rappelled it down with my fieldwork kit headlamp. Waiters, the Glock I'm not technically supposed to carry. The air down there was warm and sweet, the way a corpse flower smells right before it rots. My beam caught the phone's case first, still lying where I'd left it. Then the tunnel entrance someone had widened with a diamond saw. Fresh, concrete dust. Astroline's logo stenciled on the wall like a brand. I followed the drag marks. The deeper I went, the cleaner everything got. No more crumbling phosphate rock, just smooth bore tunnel, HVAC hum. Like the place was waking up for me. The smell changed too. Less swamp, more hospital. Bleach and ozone and something metallic that coated the back of my throat. That's when I found room 0. The door was stainless steel, no handle. Just a retina scanner. It blinked green when I got close like it knew my iris pattern already. The door side open. Inside was hell trying to pass for heaven. White walls, white floor, white coats hanging on hooks like shed skins. Hundreds of bodies hung upside down from ceiling tracks, sealed in thick plastic bags filled with glowing green fluid. Their hair floated like seaweed. Tubes ran from their heels into collection vats labeled with barcodes. Some of the bags had notes taped to them. Subject 87 Henson N. Thallium tolerance 312% baseline viable for phase II. Subject 90 for Brewer. T. Radium 226 uptake nominal offspring projected 2031. I gagged so hard I nearly dropped the Glock. Victor K. Hollister stood in the center of the room, hands clasped behind his back, admiring his gallery like it was modern art. He wore a spotless lab coat over a three-piece suit. When he turned, his eyes were the pale blue of glacier water. "You're early, Miss Durham," he said, almost proud. "Most subjects take another 6 months of low-level exposure before curiosity overrides self-preservation. You're already optimal." I raised the gun. My hand shook so badly the muzzle drew little circles in the air. "Where's Nadia?" I managed. "Sample 87. Chest's right above you." He pointed. I looked up and wished I hadn't. Nadia's bag was directly overhead. Eyes open, pupils blown wide. A thin stream of bubbles escaped her parted lips every few seconds, like she was still trying to scream. K. Hollister took one step toward me. "Florida Eternal isn't about profit, Ava. It's about inheritance. Into generations we can mine this aquifer dry and the population will thank us for making them strong enough to drink the runoff. Think of it, humanity finally adapted to the world we broke. Your children will swim in thallium and call it baptism." "There are no children," I spat. "There's just murder." He smiled wider. "Semantics. That's when the lights turn red. Alarm steep. Submarine clacks an S." A pleasant female voice announced self-destruct sequence initiated. Flood protocol in T-minus for minutes. K. Hollister shrugged like a man who just remembered he left the stove on. I did hope we'd have time for a proper intake, but the board prefers scorched earth to federal scrutiny. I backed toward the door. He didn't follow. Just lifted a syringe filled with something that glowed the same green as the tanks. "See you in the next cohort, 113. I ran. The tunnel was flooding already. Water roared in from side vents, waist deep in seconds, thick with silt and that chemical sweetness. My headlamp cut a weak tunnel through the murk. I could hear men shouting behind me, state troopers had tipped off anonymously. FBI HRT had begged for help after I realized no one in Tallahassee would touch this. Gunfire echoed, sharp and hopeless. I rounded a corner and there was Sheriff Rowan Hale, hip deep in the flood, AR-15 across his chest. 15 years of Astro Line consulting fees in his eyes. "Ava," he said, almost tender. "Go home. Rowan, move." "Can't. My granddaughter drinks this water too." He raised the rifle. "I'd pick her." I shot him in the knee. He went down screaming and the current took him. I don't remember much after that. Just running, lungs burning, water at my chest, then my neck. The Glock floated away. My fingers found a nylon gear bag jammed in a side passage. Someone had wedged it there. Inside, a pony bottle of air, a laminated map in Nadia's handwriting, and a note in Sharpie. "Ava, if you're rereading this, I'm already part of the water. Follow the green line. Don't breathe until you see stars. Tell my mom the water isn't fine." In. I bit down on the regulator and dove. The map led through a collapsed section no one else knew about, an old bootleg mine that predated regulation. I kicked until my legs went numb. Until the pony bottle is empty. Until I thought the pressure in my skull would pop my eyes out. Then there was moonlight. Real moonlight, thin and silver through a crack no wider than a coffin lid. I clawed upward, broke the surface in a cypress knee swamp at for 17. On December 3, 2025, my skin glowed faintly, the way deep-sea creatures do. Bioluminescence from phosphorus bound to my blood cells. A souvenir. They found me at dawn, hypothermic babbling. The tunnel collapsed completely. Official story: tragic sinkhole accident after Helene. No evidence of foul play. Astroline filed Chapter 11 2 days later. Kai Hollister vanished private jet to some country without extradition, probably. I tried to tell them. FBI, DOJ, every reporter who did take my call. They nodded, took notes, then nothing happened. My blood work came back inconclusive. My security clearance was revoked for mental health concerns. A week later, I got an email from an untraceable server. Subject line: welcome. Investor 113. Attached was a single image, the Florida Eternal Investor portal. My name newly added to the list. Status: green A. Durham confirmed a live exposure level optimal projected contribution to phase II. I threw up when I saw it. Today is December 3, 2025. Exactly 1 year since I crawled out of the earth glowing like a ghost. The tap water in 7 Panhandle counties has a faint sweet aftertaste now, like melted Jolly Ranchers left in the sun. Kids say it tastes like candy. Parents don't notice anymore. I still check the investor portal every night. My exposure counter ticks up a little each day. Sometimes there's a new message in the chat for preferred subjects. Subject 113: hair samples show full keratin binding. Excellent. Subject 113: menstruation ceased. Expected. Subject 113: craving detected. Green fluids. Compliance increasing. I keep Nadia Spony bottle on my nightstand. Empty. I kiss the mouthpiece sometimes, like it's a rosary. Last night the counter hit 99.8%. They say the water is fine. I'm starting to believe them. I've never told this story out loud. Not to the cops. Not to the feds. Not even to the therapist the state tried to force on me after everything went down. They all think I'm just some burned out archaeologist who got too close to a methane pocket and had a psychotic break. That's the official line anyway. But Yuri here on this channel at 2:47. Scrolling for something that actually keeps you awake. So I'm gonna give you the version nobody else will. My name's Tyler Grant. 34 years old the night it happened. Independent forensic archaeologist, the kind of day universities call when they need someone who isn't afraid to dig up the ugly stuff and still sleep at night. Or at least I used to sleep. It started April 1st, 2025. Yeah, April Fool's Day. Because the universe has a sick sense of humor. Florida finally coughed up the $35 million to shut the White House boys up for good. But the fine print said no more shovels in the dirt at Dozier. Ever. They called it preservation of the site. I called it a payoff with a gag order attached. 3 days later a package showed up on my doorstep in Tallahassee. No return address, no postage meter, just my name typed on a plain white label. Inside the little pine box was a single baby tooth, still flecked with dark root, and a strip of yellowed paper that smelled like old library books and something metallic. We never left. Dig one last time. Boy 1947. I should have thrown it in the trash. Instead I sent the tooth to a private lab in Gainesville I trust. 48 hours later, Demir dropped my phone when the results came back. Mitochondrial DNA hit on a kid named Jeremiah Jerry Caldwell. Reported missing from Jacksonville, December 23, 1947th. Every official record of him at Dozier had been scrubbed clean decades ago. Like the boy never existed. I knew Boot Hill better than my own reflection. It walked those 1,200 acres with ground-penetrating radar back in 2016 when the state still pretended they wanted the truth. I knew where every unmarked grave was supposed to be. So when the seismograph I borrowed from an old professor started screaming about a void 9 meters down, directly under the old laundry building foundation, something in my chest went cold and still. That void wasn't on any map. Not the University S, not the FDLS, not even the secret ones the Tampa Bay Times sued to get. I made one phone call. Sheriff Leela Harlan picked up on the second ring. She'd been a deputy back when the last official exhumations happened. Went shared whiskey and nightmares more than once. Tyler. It's the middle of the night, she rasped, voice rough, from too many cigarettes into little sleep. I need you at Dozier. Bring your service weapon and don't tell us all. She was waiting for me at the north gate when I rolled up at 11:47 on November 30th. Moonless, humid, the kind of Florida night that sticks to your skin like wet cotton. Cicadas screaming so loud you can't hear yourself think. Leela killed her headlights 50 yards out and we coasted the rest of the way in darkness. The chain on the gate was new, state seal still shiny. Leela clipped it with bolt cutters like she'd done it 100 times. We slipped through the hole in the fence where generations of teenagers had done the same damn thing trying to run. Boot Hill smells wrong even on good days. Wet clay, pine rot, and something sweet underneath that you don't want to name. Tonight it smelled hungry. We set the tripod up over the concrete slab that used to be the laundry. I ran the seismograph again just to be sure I wasn't losing it. Same void. Same perfect rectangular signature, 40 feet long, 20 wide, starting exactly 9 meters down. Lila's face in the green glow of the screen looked 10 years older than the 38 I knew she was. That's not a grave. Tyler. No, I whispered. It's a basement somebody forgot to tell us about. We drilled quiet. Battery-powered rig. Muffler made from a couple Home Depot buckets and insulation foam. Took us for hours to chew through 8 meters of clay and limestone. My arms were jelly, sweat mixing with red dirt until I looked like it'd been flayed. At 8.7 meters the drill bit jerked hard. Like something on the other end grabbed it and yanked. The whole rig lurched forward. I killed the power before we went over the edge with it. We fed the borescope down the hole. Cheap endoscope camera, the kind ghost hunters use, wired to my laptop. The screen flickered, then stabilized. Concrete. Smooth, poured. New. By tunnel maybe 8 feet high, running north-south. Fluorescent lights. Cold white, humming at 60 hertz like any Walmart in America. Except 30 feet underground in a place that's been legally closed for 14 years. Then the kids appeared. Hundreds of them. Lined wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder, wearing the exact same striped uniforms I'd seen in 1952's photographs. But wrong, too clean, too white. Skin the color of the inside of a seashell. Eyes solid black, no iris, no sclera, just pools of nothing reflecting the camera light back at us. None of them blinked, none of them breathed that I could see. One stepped forward, bare feet, no sound on the concrete. Couldn't have been more than 12. His mouth never moved, but the laptop speakers crackled and a child's voice came through clear as Sunday church. They kept the worst ones alive. Down here. For the tests. Leela made a sound I hope I never hear again. The camera jerked hard, cable going taut. Something below was reeling us in like a fish. I grabbed the laptop. She grabbed her Glock, and we both dug our heels in, but the pull was unstoppable. The borescope ripped out of our hands and vanished down the hole with a metallic scream. 30 seconds later, a circular section of the concrete slab I said opened like a camera lens. A stainless steel elevator cage rose out of the dark, humming, lights inside bright enough to burn. The doors slid open with a soft ding you'd hear in any high-rise in Miami. We didn't have a choice. Something pushed from behind, gentle but firm, like a parent guiding a child into the principal's office. The doors closed. We dropped. I don't know how long the ride was. 10 seconds? 10 minutes. Time got weird. The elevator had no floor numbers. Just a small etched plaque PROJ. ECT. ERWH. ITIUTHORIZEDRSONNELONLY. When the doors opened again, we were in a hallway that looked like a hospital designed by someone who'd never met a human child. White tile, white walls, white lights so bright they made your teeth hurt. The air smelled like bleach and pennies. The boys were waiting. They formed a perfect lines leading to a set of double doors at the end. Hundreds of them. Maybe 1,000. All identical height. Identical uniforms, identical dead black eyes. When we stepped out, they turned their heads in perfect sync, tracking us like owls. Leela raised her Glock with both hands. "Stay behind me, Tyler." We walked. Every footstep echoed. The kids didn't move except their heads. I could feel their attention on my skin like ants. The double doors opened by themselves. Inside was an auditorium, tiered seating, all filled with more boys. Center stage was an old man in a white coat. Late 80s maybe, liver spots and thin white hair. I recognized him from a 1959 yearbook photo I found years ago. Leonard Troxler, officially retired in 1973, officially dead since 9/11 Thes, plane crash. Body never recovered. He smiled like a grandfather greeting kids at Christmas. Sheriff Harlan, Mr. Grant. Right on schedule. His voice was warm syrup over broken glass. "Welcome to the real Arthur G. Dozier School for Boys. The part that never closed. We simply privatized." Behind him a massive screen lit up. Live feed of us, right now, from multiple angles. In the corner 2147 viewers and climbing. Dollar amount sticking upward in real time. Pay-per-view. Lila's voice shook but didn't break. "What the fuck did you do to these kids?" "Improve them," Troxler said, spreading his arms. "Immortal compliant youth. No more puberty. No more rebellion. No more expensive aging out of the system. Perfect little workers. Perfect little soldiers. Perfect little whatever the donors require." He gestured and every boy in the room turned their heads 180 degrees with a soft, wet popping sound like bubble wrap. Their mouths opened unnaturally wide. Inside each mouth was a tiny glowing screen displaying the same live feed we were watching. My stomach flipped. We weren't just being filmed. We were inside the camera. Troxler walked closer, shoes squeaking on the tile. The surface closure in 2011 was theater. The legislature needed plausible deniability. Down here we perfected the formula. GH variants, telomerase cocktails, neural compliance implants, funded by concerned citizens who prefer their workforce docile. Leela aimed between his eyes. "It ends tonight." Troxler's smile never wavered. "Shoot me. Shoot any of us." The moment this feed detects hostile action, it auto-uploads to 47 state legislature devices, fully encrypted, timed release at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, every senator who's been taking our grants for 20 years gets to explain to the voters why they kept a child immortality factory running under a graveyard. He leaned in until the muzzle touched his forehead. "Or join the student body. We have room for two more." I felt the exact moment Leela decided to pull the trigger. I saw her finger whiten. I made a different choice. It brought to capping propane tanks in my truck for the generator. Left them topside when we started drilling. But I always keep a smaller one in my pack for the stove. 20 ounces of propane, spark striker taped to the side. Old habit from desert digs. I yanked the pin, lobbed it underhand toward the back wall where the boys stood thickest, and screamed, "DOWN." Leela'd have left. I went right. The striker hit the floor and sparked. The explosion was cinematic. It was just sudden, white, loud. Then, everything fell. I remember the ceiling coming down in slabs the size of cars. I remember the boys not screaming, just watching the fire roll over them with those black eyes. I remember Troxler's face in the last second before a chunk of rebar took his head clean off, still smiling. Then the floor dropped out from under us and we fell with it. I woke up in a hospital in Gainesville with both legs broken, third-degree burns on my arms, and federal agents who wouldn't let me see daylight for 6 days. Official story: accidental methane explosion, old swamp gas pocket. No evidence of human remains beyond what was already documented. No survivors, no footage, no nothing. They even showed me the crater. 60 meters deep, perfectly round, filled with water the color of wheat coffee. State geologists called it classic karst collapse. Case closed. But that night, December 1st, 2025, At exactly 3:33 a TikTok account with no name and no profile picture posted a 30-second video. No sound except wind and very soft breathing. It shows the crater. Moonlight on the new lake. Then the camera tilts down into the water. Hundreds of pale faces staring up from underneath. Perfect formation. Black eyes reflecting the phone flash like oil slicks. They speak in perfect unison. Voices layered like a choir. Thank you for visiting. School is back in session tomorrow. 47 million views and counting. Comments disabled. Account still active. Sometimes late at night my phone buzzes with a notification I never subscribed to. Just a single push alert that says, "Roll call in 5 minutes, Mr. Grant. Don't be late." I haven't slept without the lights on since. And somewhere under the new lake in Mariana, Florida, I think the bell just rang for first period. See you in class. I still wake up tasting formaldehyde and Georgia red clay in the back of my throat. They call it PTSD. I call it memory. And memory never lies. My name is Eleanor Marie Vargas, badge for 112 Street, Lucey County Sheriff's Office. Or at least I was until they took the badge and the gun and the last shred of my life. By the time anyone reads this, if anyone ever does, it'll be gone, suspended, disgraced, locked up, or worse. But I'm writing it anyway, because the official report is already a lie, and the truth is rotting faster than the bodies that rained out of that tree. It started on Halloween night, 2024. Exactly 30 years to the day since Gerard John Schaefer took 57 shanks in a prison bathroom and finally stopped breathing. I was alone in my cruiser on the red dirt fire road that snakes into Oakhammock Park, Port Street. No backup budget cuts, just me, a half-empty thermos of cold coffee, and the swamp breathing hot on the windows like something alive that wanted in. The radio woke up by itself, not the usual dispatcher chatter. A voice from 1973, tinny, wet, recorded underwater. The tree still remembers. Then nothing. Dead static that felt heavier than noise. Every cop kid in South Florida grows up on the Devil's Tree stories. I thought I was immune. I was wrong. I rolled up slow. My headlights swept the clearing, caught the low, poison branches first. Then the thing dangling from the main limb. She was upside down, barefoot, ankles lashed with old hemp rope gone black with age and old blood. Long brown hair sweeping the dirt like a broom. 17, maybe 18. Menus exact 13-turn braid from the 1970 to Trotter Place crime scene photos circled her neck. But it wasn't what killed her. Someone had opened her throat slow, almost loving, ear to ear. On her bare chest, carved deep enough to scrape bone. WELCOMEBACK, I threw up right there in the Saw Palmetto S, until my ribs hurt. The smell was copper pennies and funeral home sweet, the kind that crawls into your sinuses and never leaves. Her name was Kayla Marie Voss. Missing person report filed 48 hours earlier. In her mouth, folded so tight her jaw had to be broken to get it in, was a photocopy page from Killer Fiction, Schaefer's own sick little book he wrote on death row. Someone had annotated it in fresh red ballpoint. I finished what you started, your biggest fan. I stood under that tree a long time, listening to the rope creak. There was no wind. The rope was moving by itself. That's when I knew this was a copycat. Copycats get the headlines wrong. This guy got the knots right, the blade angle right. The way the ligature furrows dig in at exactly 23 degrees. Details sealed in evidence reports. Details only another cop would know. 3 nights later, I broke into the old evidence warehouse off Salvatore Road. Nobody goes in there anymore, the roof leaks. The AC died in 2009. And the air tastes like molten old blood. I found Schaefer's impounded cruiser, a rust-red 1971 Plymouth Fury, still wearing faded Martin County decals. The trunk was supposed to be empty. It was. Wrapped in yellowed plastic was a black leather ledger. Gold lettering on the cover PROPRTYOFG. J. TONOTOPN. The seal had been sliced years ago and taped so many times it looked like scar tissue. 29 names. The first 20 were crossed out in faded reed. The last 9 were clean. Waiting. Number 21 was typed in the same ancient IBM Selectric font they used in the 70s. Elena Marie Vargas, born 314 Thes, 1996, the one who got away. I sat on the concrete floor of that warehouse and cried like a rookie. Not because I was scared, though Jesus Christ I was, but because it felt inevitable. Like someone had been steering me toward that tree since the day I came out screaming. I kept digging. Pulled every internal memo, every disciplinary file from 1970 to 74. That's when I found the ghost. They called him Shadow in the old reports. A second deputy who rode night shift with Schaefer. The one who drove the bodies into the scrub. The one who poured gasoline and burned clothes in barrels behind the old jail. Every report that mentioned Shadow had the same looping initial in the corner S. I've seen that S 1,000 times. It's on every memo that comes out of the sheriff's office today. Same flourish under the crossbar. Same heavy pressure on the pen. Sheriff Marcus Reed. He pinned my gold detective shield on me himself. Told me I reminded him of himself at 29, hungry, pissed off, willing to bend rules to get the bad guys. Turns out he just recognized the name on the list. I confronted him at 2. In his office. No warrant, no backup, just my Glock and a death wish. He didn't even look surprised. You were supposed to wait until December 3rd, he said. Calm as Sunday dinner. Jerry always liked the symmetry. No moon. Cold enough the bodies keep longer. December 3. 2025 tonight. I should have cuffed him then. Instead I ran. Because I needed to see it through at the tree. Needed to know how deep the rot went. The pine forest behind Oak Hammock is blacker than you can imagine. No light pollution. No houses for miles. Just saw palmetto cloisons and spurs that rip your ankles bloody. I parked a half-mile out and walked in, flashlight off. Letting my eyes adjust until the dark felt like a second skin. He was waiting. Sheriff Marcus Reed stood under Devil's Tree, in full dress uniform, campaign hat and all. Like he was posing for a recruitment poster. In his hand was the original manuscript of killer fiction, pages stiff with 50-year-old blood. Jerry was never the brains, he said, voice soft, almost fond. He just liked the attention. I was the one who planned. I was the one who kept count. He told me everything like a priest giving last rites. After Schaefer got locked up, Reed kept going. One girl every 5 years or so, always runaways, always brunettes. Always on Halloween or close to it. Gifts for his old partner, even though Jerry was rotting in Rayford. He groomed Kayla Voss online for months. Convinced her she was special, then used her as bait to pull me in. He wanted me here on the anniversary of the night Schaefer almost killed my mother. Yeah, that part never made the papers. Mom was 16 in 1973, hitchhiking on US 1. Schaefer and his shadow picked her up. Something spooked them headlights. God, whatever, and they let her out in Cocoa Beach. 9 months later I was born. She never told anyone until the cancer ate her lungs in 2019. Reed smiled when he said it. Full circle. Helena. Poetry. Then he pulled a rope. I heard the counterweight shift high in the branches old sailing pulleys Schaefer stole from the Stewart Marina in 72. A sound like a dozen wrap doors opening at once. Bodies fell. Not skeletons. Bodies. Preserved in formaldehyde drums and hung like meat in a smokehouse. Some still had hair. Some still had eyes, milky but intact. They hit the ground with wet thuds. Burst open, splashed us both with 50-year-old juice that smelled like pennies and flowers left too long in a vase. I gagged so hard I almost dropped my Glock. Reed laughed. Actually laughed. I shot him center mass. 3 rounds. He folded slow. still smiling, blood bubbling on his lips. Page 30 is blank, he whispered, pressing the ledger into my hands. Your turn, deputy. He died looking up at the tree. I stood there shaking, sirens finally screaming in the distance. I opened the ledger to the last page under my flashlight. It wasn't blank anymore. Fresh blood still warm had soaked through. Someone had written in handwriting I didn't recognize. Page 30 is blank. Your turn, deputy. That's when the body cam caught it. Behind me, just out of frame at first, a gloved hand bigger than Reed's, county-issue black leather, soaked dark reached down, took the ledger from my frozen fingers, then closed it gently. Then footsteps, slow and deliberate, walking away through the Palmetto S. No hurry. No fear. The same heel-toe cadence every deputy learns at the academy. I swung around, screaming into the dark, emptying my magazine at shadows. Nothing. The ledger was gone when the first units arrived. My body cam footage corrupted the second it hit the server. Reed's body had 3 exit wounds and no confession, just a dead sheriff and a crazy deputy who executed him in the woods. They suspended me pending investigation. The tree burned a week later, accelerant undetermined. I watched from the highway. The flames went straight up, chemical green at the edges, like burning copper. Took less than 20 minutes for a 300-year-old oak to become ash. They bulldozed the clearing, poured concrete, put up a playground. But I still hear it. Every night, no matter where I sleep, motel off I-95, Buddy's couch in Tampa. The psych ward in Fort Pierce, I hear the ropes creaking. And sometimes when the moon goes dark, I smell formaldehyde in wet earth and my mother's cheap white shoulders perfume. 3 nights ago I logged into the department's internal database with my old credentials. They never deactivated them. There's a new profile in the active duty roster. Name: UNKNOWN, badge number S. Status SACE, ETIV assignment. NIGHTPATROLOAKHAMM, OCKSECTOR. Last night I dreamed I was back under the tree, except the tree was inside me. Roots growing out of my mouth, branches punching through my ribs. Every leaf had a name. When the wind blew, the name screamed. I woke up to the sound of rope creaking in my motel room. There is no tree in here. I checked. I'm writing this on the back of a Denny's placemat for 17. Because the second I try to type it on my phone, the keyboard adds an S after every period. Like it's signing its work. The night after the fire, my phone pinged at 3:33. Old work app. New message in account IWIM channel from user S. Just a photo. No text. The new playground. Fresh concrete. Shiny swings. But the chains are too long to thick, and at the end of each one hangs a perfect hangman-esque knot. Swaying though there's no wind. In the foreground, someone placed a Polaroid on the concrete. Same one that was glued in the ledger. 16-year-old me. Passed out drunk. Red Sharpie noose already drawn around my neck. On the back, written in blood that somehow has dried in the Florida heat. See you soon, deputy. The list is almost done. Page 30 is still blank. But I can hear the pen scratching. Somewhere out there in the dark, Shadow is still driving an unmarked cruiser with a trunk that doesn't open from the inside. If you're reading this and you're a brunette born in 96, change your name. Dye your hair. Move to Alaska. Burn your birth certificate. Because HES patient. HES been patient for 50 years. And the rope is already tied.